I guess I just want to know what you think about this, because I feel like it's becoming more and more of a trend of people not showing their kids' faces. I don't know. It's just an interesting thing to think about, and I don't know if it's like a solid thought or if it's kind of just more fear-based. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about this on either end. Hey guys, my name is Shayla. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, I talk about motherhood, I talk about pregnancy, but now I'm just talking about like life with children. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. I have an Instagram, Hey Shayla, a podcast, Hey Shayla. We do things kind of hippie, kind of granola, kind of eco-friendly. If you're into that, please subscribe. If you're not new here, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about showing your kids on social media, because I feel like it's a thing that people have been doing, and now everyone's like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Should we be doing this? Does it matter if I'm an influencer? Does it matter if I have a private account? Does it matter if I'm public? How do I get my parents to stop doing it? I don't have all the answers. I'm just gonna tell you my thought process on this thing. So when you decide not to show your kids' faces on your social media, or bodies for that matter, it's like being vegan. Like, why are you vegan? Are you being eco-friendly? Is it like the environment? Is it health reasons? Is it an ethics thing? Like, same thing I feel like with showing your kids on your social media accounts. Is it because you want them to consent? They never consented to be on here. Is it because you don't want to leave a digital footprint? So like when we got hired in places and people Googled your name, they could find a couple things, and now your kid would have a whole library of things for them to look at. I don't know. Is it privacy reasons? Is it for creepers? Like, there's a lot of different reasons, and all of them are valid, and some of them you're like, I'm not worried about that. Everyone has their own like hierarchy of what's important. I'm gonna explain my thought process here. So when I switched, because my channel started as full-time travel, then I got pregnant, COVID happened, I was like, hard pivot, motherhood. Like, we're not talking about travel anymore, we're talking about motherhood. Seth and I had a conversation of like, but listen, this is not my children's channel. This is not a documentation of their life. This is my experience in motherhood. This is my experience learning about cloth diapers and then sharing it with them. This is my experience learning about anything. This is about me. And that helped, so that it wasn't like, oh, here's my kid. And to be honest, some of that is on my channel. You will see my kids' faces. They're in there because it's been part of it. And I felt pretty comfortable with the amount that I've shared, because like I said, I haven't done a full-blown, like, in their face, this is about them. But that all changed very innocently, luckily, one day when we were at a grocery store. Somebody that my husband knew from school, who I had met in passing one time. I was doing something and I came back and he was talking to her, and Aaliyah was with her, and she was like, oh my gosh, I saw Aaliyah first and then I looked for you guys. This person had never met Aaliyah in her life. She recognized her from social media. She recognized her from our stories. She recognized my daughter first, whom she'd never met, and then looked for Seth and I. And luckily, we know her. It's not a big deal. But I started thinking, like, what if I didn't know you? What if you were just somebody that was following? And still, I'm sure there's somebody that's following that would recognize her first, and it could still be innocent. But what if it wasn't? And I was like, I don't love that somebody can recognize you. And then I had somebody DM me being like, yeah, I live near a super famous football player and I know what his kids look like. And at Lifetime at the gym, I saw his kids and I was like, you are that kid. I know you. And I feel weird about it. So like the privacy thing is my number one. Like, I just don't, I just don't want her being identified out and about. I'd rather have nobody have any idea who she is. And it's not even like we're some huge celebrity. I just want her to blend in with all the other kids. There's probably not anybody following me that like would do anything nefarious, but I have no idea. You could have 300 people following you if your account is public and you don't know someone. I had a little bit of a complex of like, if I start covering my face, that makes me feel like, oh, I'm just this celebrity and I need to protect our privacy. But somebody with 300 followers could do the same thing where they're like, I'm not going to show my kids on social media. I have a friend who has no social media following, but she never showed her kid's face. She's just like, I just don't feel like it's necessary. I'll send the photos to my family. There's number one, privacy. Number two, creepy ASS SHIT. So this is where it got really weird. So I posted on social media, on Instagram, that I was not going to show their faces anymore. Somebody messaged me this message. I saw a website many years ago. It has since been taken down, and it was full of innocent images of toddlers that were taken from people's Instagrams, Facebook posts. And there were a bunch of grown men commenting on what they liked about each one and which physical features they found most attractive. Things like, oh, her eyes are beautiful, or look at those thick, chunky thighs and silky blonde hair. It was hella creepy because men stole these images from people's social media without them knowing, and in that moment I vowed to never post my babies online. And I know that this stuff is true. So then I remembered that there was this girl who has this account, Yami Pence, and she was a former child sex abuse material detective. And she always writes, I don't expect you to see what I've seen. And in fact, I don't want you to. Just take my advice and information here. So she said, sometimes these creepy people just use the photos for themselves for nefarious purposes. Sometimes they make a whole web page for their pedo friends, just focusing on one child. She said, shame on them and may God judge them mightily. So the more I learned about that kind of stuff, it's not just about covering their faces for privacy, it's about covering their bodies. Like all of this stuff. The chances of this happening, I don't know, honestly, but probably pretty low. But for what? So that I can show my kids on my account? I don't know. I just really started thinking about it and being like, I don't love it. The consent thing for me, not as big of a deal. And I guess I don't know the ramifications of this further on in life, but there's a lot of things that I do for my kid or to my kid without their consent. I was gonna say pick their clothes. I don't even know if that's a good example of I guess I don't understand this one, if I'm honest. We don't have their consent to post their photos. Someone said, can you imagine being a kid and your aunt coming up to you and being like, I saw you go down the big slide the other day. And they're like, what do you mean you saw me? You weren't there. I didn't hear my mom tell you over the phone. And then to be like, oh, you probably saw me go down the big slide because my mom posted it on her stories. Or when people do happy birthday posts to their kids who are 2, or even if they're 10. Did you read that post to your kid, or are you just posting this online? It's just so bizarre to me. I don't know. That kind of got me thinking of just these kids are going to grow up in a place where they're like, oh, my mom posted something on the internet and my friend's dad saw it. Or my friend's mom saw it. Or my friend saw it. I don't know. It depends on the age of your kids, obviously. But I just thought that was kind of interesting then to have someone be like, oh, yeah, I saw that you did that thing the other day. What do you mean you saw it? So if you can weigh in on this, I would actually love to hear, because I'm open to learning. To me, I'm unless I'm posting an inappropriate photo of my child, I feel like it's not super crucial to have consent to post a photo of them as a child doing a child thing. I don't know. So I don't understand it. A digital footprint. That I could kind of see, but again, not as worried because I'm not posting bad things about my kid. Their employer might find out that their mom had a YouTube channel and that we co-slept. I don't know. The other thing that I think is interesting is jealousy. So when your baby's developing, in the first couple of years, it's when did they walk? When did they crawl? When did they talk? And so when you see other people and you're like, oh, we had babies around the same time your baby's walking, it starts to put doubt and fear and problems in your head that does not need to be there. Every baby is gonna develop at their own speed, at their own time. So I just stopped posting it because my girls were early walkers. A story about when Aaliyah was in preschool, they said she needs to use forks because she eats with her hand because I don't give her them. I just let her eat with her hands. And then I'm like, should I be sharing that? Should I be sharing that in preschool they told her she needed to practice using forks more? Is that bad? Is that gonna come back to haunt her that I shared that about her? This is typical Shayla, just going crazy in my mind about all these things. I'm doing it because I'm I didn't really think it was that big of a deal. We don't know what kind of a big deal it's going to be, which is why it makes it feel like a big deal. So then it's okay, well, if I have a private account, does that count? I'm not sure. I think so. Other people are asking, how do I tell my parents to stop showing pictures of my kids? Maybe show them this video. I'm going to ask Yami Pence if she will be on my podcast. You can send that to your family members and be like, this is why I don't want you to share photos, because there's creepers out there that are taking the photos. Then the next question is, are you going to delete old photos? And the answer is yes. I'm in the process of kind of deleting, but I probably won't do a lot of it, if I'm totally honest. I'll look and make sure that everything feels good to me, it feels okay. It's just more about moving forward. And yes, I can go back and change a few things, and I did on Instagram a little bit, and I can go do more, but I can't stress that much about it in my mind. I'm all about do what works until it doesn't, right? That's my motto through and through. It's been working to just share casually, and now I'm I don't like that either. I will be not showing things moving forward and editing things backward. So I guess I just want to know what you think about this, because I feel like it's becoming more and more of a trend of people not showing their kids' faces. And now that I've decided to do it, when I see kids' faces, I'm like, ugh, I don't know. But again, no judgment. Everybody gets to choose to do whatever they want, whenever they want. It's just an interesting thing to think about. And I don't know if it's a solid thought or if it's kind of just more fear-based. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about this on either end. So if you're no, stop freaking out. It's fine. You can can share your kids. It's not a big deal. I want to hear from you. And I do not want anyone to shame you because I want to hear both sides. And if you're like, yep, had never showed my kids, never going to show my kids, or somebody messaged me and they said they're only going to show their kids' faces until 1. And then it's the thing of like, it's the faces, not the bodies. So the bodies, maybe you're like, privacy, schmivacy. I live in the middle of nowhere. No one's going to ever see us or something. I don't know. Or if there's another reason why you're doing it. I'm kind of just making this video to talk it out because I feel like it's something that's being more talked about, and these are like my thoughts on it and why we're choosing to not do it. So I want to know yours. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.